Okay, so these are the notes for section 1.1, also 1.2 for translation of parent functions with H and K values. So again, we call the different function families, okay? Anytime the graph is a horizontal line, see how it's horizontal, so that means it doesn't have a slope, or rather the slope is zero. It constantly just goes left to right, so that's a constant function. And your equation will only have a number with no x variable. So remember, f of x really means y. So let's say your equation said y equal 1 or y equal 4. That's a constant. Linear equations kind of resemble y equal mx plus b. Your equation will have an x in it, but no exponent, no radical symbol or nothing. And the graph is always a straight line, slanted. So that's a linear function. Absolute value equations always have an absolute value bar, and the graph is always some type of V-shaped. The V can be upside down, it can be up, it can go over to the left or right. Quadratic function always has exponent of 2. So when it's raised to the second power, it is a quadratic function. The graph is U-shaped. The U is called a parabola. Horizontal translations, and this is in your book on page 12. So, and this is all in your book, so I'm trying to explain, okay? The H value determines the horizontal shift. So in your equation, you will see that the H value is always the number with the X. Most times it's inside of parentheses, but it's always specifically with the X, being added to X or subtracted from X. The H value is always the opposite sign of what's in front of it. So when it says X minus H, that means H is positive, and the graph will translate to the right. When it says X plus H, that means your H is negative, and the graph will translate to the left. Okay, so just think opposite sign. Example here. So in the equation, f of x equal 2 parentheses x plus 4 squared plus 1, the H value is in the parentheses with the x, but it's opposite the sign. So the H value is negative 4, which means the graph will translate left 4 units. Okay? All right. Vertical translation. K is the number that's added or subtracted from the whole equation, from the function, and it determines your vertical shift. So if your K value is always the same sign as whatever is in front of it. So again, this same problem as before. The K value is right here. This function has 1 added to it. So K is 1. And since it says plus 1, it will go up 1 unit. Here's some examples of finding H and K values. Okay? So notice, I want you to pause the video here and take a look at these functions and see if you could determine which number is H, which number is K, and describe which way it will translate. So pause here, and then I will reveal the answers. So in this first function, H is 4 and K is negative 5. Okay, so H is the opposite and K is whatever it is. So H is 4, K is negative 5. That means the graph will translate to the right 4, down 5. In the second equation, H is negative 2. Remember, H is always with the X, and it's the opposite. So H will be negative 2, because that's the opposite. K is negative 6. So this graph will translate left 2, down 6. This third equation, H is 1. because that is a number with the x being subtracted, and it's going to be the opposite. So h is 1, which means the graph will move to the right 1. There is no k value. That means k is 0. So this graph won't move up or down at all. It'll just go to the right 1. This last function, there is no h. See that? There's no number being added or subtracted to the x. It's just x by itself. So that means h is 0. K is -1. That means this graph will translate down 1 unit. Please remember to add these notes to your Google Drive, and if you have questions, make sure you come see me or send me a message.